Marcus Chen believed he was the luckiest man on Earth. For 12 years, he had lived a life that felt like a dream. His wife Laria was beautiful in a way that made people stop and stare on the streets. Her eyes had small silver flecks in them that seemed to glow in certain light. Her skin would sometimes look bronze and sometimes look pale, like moonlight on water. Marcus had always known she was different. He had always known she was special. He just never knew how special until the night everything changed. Their daughter Sarah was 11 years old. She had her mother's strange, beautiful eyes and her father's stubborn chin. Marcus loved her more than he loved breathing. He had been there when she was born. He had held her tiny body in his big, clumsy hands and cried like a baby himself. He had taught her to walk, to talk, to ride a bike. He had read her bedtime stories and checked under her bed for monsters. He had kissed her scraped knees and cheered at her school plays. She was his whole world, but something was wrong with Sarah. It started 6 months ago with nosebleeds. Small ones at first, then bigger. Then she started fainting at school. The doctors ran tests and found nothing. They said she was healthy, but Marcus could see his daughter getting weaker every day. He could see the dark circles under her eyes. He could see how tired she was all the time. The strangest thing happened at night. When Sarah slept, her skin would glow. A soft blue light would shine from under her skin, like there were tiny stars living inside her body. The first time Marcus saw it, he thought he was going crazy. He called Lyria into the room. She looked at their glowing daughter, and her face went pale. "We need to talk," Lyria said. Her voice was shaking. That night, after Sarah was asleep, Lyria told Marcus the truth. She was not human. She was Valkyrie. Her people came from a moon far away in space, orbiting a giant planet that humans had only recently started to explore. The Valkyrie had been watching Earth for hundreds of years. They studied humans like scientists study animals. Lyria had been sent as an observer. Her job was to live among humans and send reports back home. She was never supposed to fall in love. She was never supposed to get married. She was definitely never supposed to have a child. But she met Marcus at a coffee shop 13 years ago. He spilled his drink on her shirt and apologized so many times that she started laughing. He was clumsy and nervous and kind. He made her feel things that her people had forgotten how to feel long ago. The Valkyrie had removed emotions from their species thousands of years ago. They thought feelings were weakness. But something about Marcus woke up feelings that Lyria did not know she had. They got married. They had Sarah. Lyria broke every rule her people had. She did not care. She was happy. But now Sarah was sick. Her body is fighting itself, Lyria explained, tears running down her face. She is half human and half Valkyrie. The two parts do not work together. Her cells are rejecting each other. Without help, she will die within the year. Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the chest. He could not breathe. His little girl, his Sarah, dying. "There must be something we can do," he said. Lyria nodded slowly. "There is a cure, but it is on Mars. My people had a hidden base there. They have the technology to save her. But Marcus, there is something else you need to know." She told him about the resonance bonding. It was an old Valkyrie ritual. To save a dying child, the child needed to bond with their true father, their biological father. The process would stabilize her cells and make her whole again. Marcus did not understand at first. He was Sarah's father. He had raised her. He had loved her every single day of her life. Then he understood, and his heart broke. "I am sorry," Lyria whispered. "Before I came to Earth, I was genetically paired with a Valkyrie male. It is how my people reproduce. There is no love in it. No choice, just science. His name is Varth. He is a commander at the Mars base. He contributed genetic material to create Sierra, but he has never met her. To him, she is just an experiment. A mistake. Marcus sat in silence for a long time. The woman he loved was an alien. His daughter was half alien. And the man who was supposed to save her was some cold stranger who did not even care if she lived or died. He thought about Sierra. He thought about her laugh, bright and loud like sunshine. He thought about how she always asked for one more bedtime story. He thought about the way she held his hand when she was scared. He thought about the drawing she made him last week, with stick figures of their family and the words, "Best Dad Ever," written in purple crayon. Sierra was his daughter. He did not care about genetics. He did not care about biology. He had been her father since the moment she was born. He would be her father until the moment he died. "Take me to Mars," Marcus said. Lyria stared at him. "What?" "Take me to Mars. I'm going to save her. I do not know how yet, but I am going to find a way." "Marcus, you do not understand. The Valkyrie will not help you. They think humans are primitives. They think we are like insects. And Vorath, he is cold. He has no feelings. He will not perform the resonance bonding for a child he does not care about. Then I will make him care. Or I will find another way. I do not care how impossible it is. I do not care if I have to fight every alien on that base. Sierra is my daughter, and I am not going to let her die." Lyria looked at her husband. This clumsy, nervous, kind man who spilled coffee on her shirt 13 years ago. This man who had no special powers, no advanced technology, no genetic engineering. Just a human. Just a father. She took his hand. "Then we go to Mars," she said. That night, Marcus went into Sierra's room. She was asleep, her skin glowing softly blue. He sat on the edge of her bed and watched her breathe. He brushed the hair from her face. "I am going to save you," he whispered. "I promise. I am your dad. That is what dads do." Outside the window, Mars was rising in the night sky, a small red dot among the stars. So far away, so impossible. But Marcus did not care about impossible. He was a father, and his daughter needed him. The journey to Mars took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of hiding in a cargo ship, surrounded by boxes of machine parts and freeze-dried food. 3 weeks of watching Sierra get weaker every day. Marcus was not an astronaut. He was not a soldier. He was an architectural engineer. He designed buildings. He had never been to space before. The first time the ship went through zero gravity, he threw up for 2 hours straight. Lyria held his hair back and did not laugh at him. She was worried about too many other things. Sierra spent most of the journey sleeping. Her body was fighting hard just to stay alive. The blue glow under her skin was getting stronger. Sometimes Marcus could see her veins shining like tiny rivers of light. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Lyria still had contacts among her people. A few Valkyrie who disagreed with the cold ways of their species. They helped arrange the journey. They sent coordinates for the hidden base beneath Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain on Mars. They warned that the welcome would not be warm. They were right. When Marcus first saw the Valkyrie outpost, he could not believe his eyes. It was built inside a massive cave under the mountain. The walls were smooth and white, glowing with soft light. Strange machines floated in the air. Valkyrie walked through the halls in silver robes, their movements graceful and silent. Everything looked clean and perfect and cold. Like a hospital. Like a morgue. The Valkyrie who met them at the entrance looked at Marcus like he was dirt on their shoes. They were tall, almost 7 feet, with the same silver-flecked eyes as Lyria, but their eyes had no warmth, no feeling. They looked at the world like scientists looking at bacteria. "You brought a human here," one of them said to Lyria. His voice was flat, without emotion. This is against protocol. My daughter is dying, Lyria said. I need access to the resonance chamber. The Velkari looked at Sarah, wrapped in blankets in Marcus's arms. He showed no reaction to the sick child. No pity, no concern. Just cold calculation. The hybrid, he said. We received reports about this anomaly. The council has been waiting. They were taken to see the council. 7 Velkari elders sat in floating chairs arranged in a circle. In the center of the circle stood a male Velkari who was taller than the others. His silver robes had gold trim. His face looked like it was carved from stone. Commander Vorath. Syrah's biological father. Marcus studied him carefully. This was the man whose genetics lived inside his daughter. This was the man who was supposed to save her. He looked like a statue. Beautiful and cold and completely empty. Vorath examined Syrah the way a person might examine a broken machine. He walked around her slowly. He looked at readings on a floating screen. He poked at her skin with a metal instrument. He never once looked at her face. He never once treated her like a person. The hybrid cellular degradation is advanced, Vorath said. His voice was calm and bored. The human genetics are rejecting the Velkari modifications. This was always the expected outcome. She can be saved, Lyria said. The resonance bonding can stabilize her. Perhaps. But why would we waste resources on a defect? The hybrid should never have existed. This is the consequence of your emotional contamination, observed Lyria. The merciful course is to let the defect expire. Something inside Marcus snapped dot. He moved before he could think. He crossed the room in 3 steps and swung his fist at Vorath's perfect stone face. The punch connected. Vorath stumbled backward. Blue blood dripped from his lip. 4 guards grabbed Marcus. He fought like a wild animal. He kicked one in the knee. He bit another on the arm. He headbutted a third in the face and felt something crack. They finally pinned him to the ground, but it took all 4 of them. She is not a defect, Marcus shouted, struggling against the guards. Blood ran from his lip where someone had hit him. His shoulder was screaming in pain. He did not care. She's a little girl. She likes strawberry ice cream and bad puns and building model rockets. She is my daughter. Vorath touched his bleeding lip. He looked at the blue blood on his fingers. Then he looked at Marcus with something strange in his silver eyes. Curiosity, maybe. Or confusion. You are not her father, Vorath said. You share no genetic material with this creature. You are nothing. Marcus stopped struggling. He looked up at Vorath from the floor, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. I am the one who stayed, he said. I am the one who held her when she cried. I am the one who taught her to read. I am the one who sits with her when she has nightmares. I am the one who loves her. What have you ever done? You gave some cells to a machine. That does not make you a father. That makes you a donor. The room went silent. The council members looked at each other. Even the guards seemed uncertain. Vorath stared at Marcus for a long moment. Then he turned away. Remove the human, he said. The council will discuss the hybrid's fate. The guards dragged Marcus away. He did not stop fighting until they threw him into a small white room and locked the door. Lyria was already there, holding Syrah in her arms. That was stupid, Lyria said. But she was almost smiling. He called her a defect, Marcus said, sitting down heavily on the floor. He looked at her like she was garbage. I know. But you cannot fight the whole Velkari species with your fists. Marcus looked at his hands. His knuckles were bleeding. His whole body hurt. But when he thought about the look on Vorath's face when he punched him, he felt a small spark of satisfaction. Watch me try, he said. Lyria sat down next to him. She put her head on his shoulder. In her arms, Syrah stirred. Her eyes opened, glowing faintly blue. Dad? She whispered. "Where are we?" Marcus took her small hand in his big, bloody one. "Somewhere new, sweetheart," he said. "But do not worry. Daddy is going to fix everything." He did not know how. He did not know if it was possible. But he was going to find a way. He was her father. That was what fathers did. For 3 days, they waited in the small white room. Guards brought them food and water, but would not speak to them. Syrah was getting worse. She could barely stay awake now. The blue glow under her skin was so bright that Marcus could see it through the blankets. Lyria spent every moment reading through old Valkyrie laws on a data tablet she had smuggled in. She was looking for something, anything, a loophole, a chance. On the third night, she found it. "Marcus," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "The resonance bonding. It is not just about genetics." Marcus looked up from where he was sitting with Sarah's head in his lap. "What do you mean?" "I always assumed it required the biological father. Everyone assumes that. But the original texts say something different. They say the bonding requires a true connection, neural synchronization, emotional wavelength. In the old days, before my people removed their emotions, any being with a strong enough bond could complete the ritual." Marcus felt hope spark in his chest. "So I could do it? I could bond with Syrah?" Lyria's face fell slightly. "In theory, yes. But Marcus, no non-Valkyrie has ever attempted it. The process requires opening your mind completely. Every memory, every emotion, every secret. You must synchronize your consciousness with Syrah's fading neural pattern. The Valkyrie brain evolved to handle this. The human brain did not. What are the chances?" "I do not know exactly. Maybe 6% survival." 6%. Marcus thought about those numbers. 94% chance of death. 94% chance of leaving Sarah without a father at all. But 100% chance of losing her if he did nothing. "I will do it," he said. Lyria grabbed his hand. "There is more. The Council will never allow it. They think humans are too primitive, too weak. But there is another old law. The right of challenge. Any being can prove their worth through trial. If you pass the trials, they must let you attempt the bonding." "What kind of trials?" "Tests of mental endurance, physical resilience, emotional fortitude. They were designed for Valkyrie, Marcus. They will be very hard." Marcus looked down at Syrah. Her breathing was shallow. Her skin was paper thin. He could see the light in her veins flickering like a candle about to go out. "Get me to those trials," he said. The next morning, Marcus stood before the council and demanded the right of challenge. The elders looked at him like he was a bug asking to run a marathon. Vorath actually laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. "You wish to attempt trials designed for Valkyrie?" Vorath said. "Humans are fragile creatures. You will die in the first test. Then you have nothing to lose by letting me try," Marcus said. The council discussed for a long time. Finally, they agreed. Perhaps they were curious. Perhaps they wanted to see a human fail. Perhaps they just wanted entertainment. Whatever the reason, they gave Marcus his chance. The first trial was called the Test of Mind. Marcus was placed in a dark room and connected to a machine that attacked his thoughts. For 6 hours, the machine sent images of horror into his brain. Death, pain, fear, every terrible thing a mind could imagine. The Valkyrie could meditate through such attacks. They could detach from their thoughts. Marcus could not detach. He felt everything. He screamed. He cried. He begged for it to stop. But he did not quit. He held on to one thought through all the horror. Syrah, her smile, her laugh, her hand in his dot when the 6 hours ended. Marcus crawled out of the room on his hands and knees, shaking, and covered in sweat. He had failed the test by Valkyrie standards, but he had survived. The second trial was the test of body. Marcus had to cross a room filled with obstacles while the gravity shifted randomly. The Valkyrie body was built for such challenges. Humans were not meant to handle gravity that changed from heavy to light to sideways in seconds. Marcus broke 3 ribs. He dislocated his shoulder. He cracked his skull on a metal beam when gravity suddenly reversed. Blood ran into his eyes, making it hard to see. Every bone in his body screamed at him to stop. He did not stop. He crawled when he could not walk. He dragged himself forward with his fingernails when he could not crawl. He thought about Syrah, lying in that white room, dying slowly while he was failing here. He was not going to fail. When he finally reached the end of the room, he collapsed. Medical drones rushed to stabilize him. He had failed this test too by Valkyrie standards, but he had survived. The final trial was the test of heart. This was the one that truly mattered. Marcus was placed in another machine, and this one reached into his deepest fears. Not horror images from outside. His own fears. His own darkness. The machine showed him every moment he had ever felt like a failure. Every time he thought he was not good enough. It showed him Syrah calling another man Dad. It showed him a life where he never existed, where Syrah was raised by Vorath, cold and empty like the other Valkyrie. It showed him his deepest fear, that he was not really her father, that he was fooling himself, that his love did not matter. A voice spoke in his mind, cold and mechanical. "You are worthless," it said. "You are not her father. You are a primitive ape pretending to be something more. Your love means nothing. Your sacrifice means nothing. You are nothing." Marcus stood in the darkness of his own mind. The voice was right about many things. He was not special. He had no powers. He was just a regular man. But the voice was wrong about one thing. "I have been afraid my whole life," Marcus said out loud. His voice was steady. "I was afraid I was not good enough. I was afraid I could not protect her. I was afraid of this exact moment. Finding out I am not her real father." He took a step forward in the darkness. But here's the thing about fear. You can be afraid and still show up. You can be terrified and still keep going. That is what humans do. We are scared. We are outmatched. We are dying. And we show up anyway. Every single time, he took another step. I am not nothing. I am her father. Not because of genetics. Not because of science. Because I chose to be. Because I show up. Every day. No matter how scared I am. No matter how impossible it seems. The darkness began to crack. Light came through. And I am going to keep showing up. Until my last breath. Because that is what love is. That is what fathers do. The machine shut down. The trial was over. Marcus opened his eyes. He was lying on the floor of the testing chamber. The council was watching him on floating screens. Their faces showed something he had never seen on Valkyrie before. Confusion, wonder, maybe even respect. He had completed the trials. Not by Valkyrie standards, but by human standards. By the standards of love and stubbornness and refusing to give up. Var's voice came through the speakers. It sounded different now. Less cold. "The human has passed the rite of challenge," he said. "Prepare the resonance chamber." Marcus smiled through his blood and bruises. He was going to save his daughter. The resonance chamber was deep underground, in the oldest part of the Valkyrie base. The walls were made of strange black stone that seemed to absorb light. Ancient symbols were carved into every surface. Symbols from a time when the Valkyrie still believed in things like love and family. Marcus stood in the center of the chamber, connected to a massive machine by hundreds of thin wires. The wires were attached to his head, his chest, his arms. They would synchronize his consciousness with Sarah's, allowing him to pour his neural energy into her failing body. Sarah lay on a table next to him. She was barely conscious now. Her skin was so thin that Marcus could see the light pulsing weakly through her veins. She looked so small, so fragile, like a candle flame about to go out. Lyria stood at the edge of the chamber. She was crying. She had told Marcus everything that could go wrong. Brain damage, heart failure, complete neural collapse. The human brain was not built for this. The chances of survival were almost zero, but Marcus had smiled and kissed her forehead. "I have to try," he said. "She is our daughter." Now Vorath entered the chamber. He walked slowly toward Marcus, his silver robes flowing behind him. His face was still cold, but something had changed in his eyes since the trials. Something that looked almost like curiosity. "You understand what will happen," Vorath said. It was not a question. "Yes. Your mind will be completely exposed. Every memory, every emotion, every secret thing you have ever felt. The machine will search for your connection to the child and try to amplify it. If the connection is not strong enough, your brain will simply shut down. You will die." "I know." Vorath was quiet for a moment. "Why? She is not your genetic offspring. By every scientific measure, you are unrelated. Why would you die for her?" Marcus looked at Sarah, at her small face, at her closed eyes, at the fading glow under her skin. "Because she is my daughter," he said. "I do not need genetics to know that. I felt it the moment I first held her. I feel it every time she smiles at me. Every time she calls me Dad. Every time she falls asleep in my arms. Love does not care about science, Vorath. Love is bigger than that." Vorath stared at him. For a moment, something flickered across his stone face. Something that might have been confusion. Or envy. "We removed such things from our species long ago," Vorath said quietly. "We believed emotions made us weak, made us vulnerable. We engineered them away and became strong, logical, perfect." He looked at Sarah. "Perhaps we were wrong." The machine hummed to life. Vorath stepped back. "Begin the resonance," he commanded. Pain hit Marcus like a thunderbolt. Every nerve in his body was on fire. The machine was pulling at his mind, reaching into the deepest parts of his brain, searching for his connection to Sarah. It felt like being torn apart from the inside. He saw his whole life flash before his eyes. Not like in the movies, fast and blurry, slow, detailed. Every moment examined and weighed. The machine found his childhood, his parents, his first heartbreak, his failures and successes. It moved through his memories like a scientist looking through files, searching for something specific. Then it found Sarah. The machine locked onto every memory Marcus had of his daughter. And suddenly, he was reliving all of it. Every single moment. He felt the weight of her in his arms the day she was born. That tiny screaming baby, red and angry and perfect. He had never held anything so small, so fragile, so important. He remembered thinking, "I will protect you. I will always protect you." He felt her fingers grip his thumbs as she learned to walk. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, then falling into his arms, giggling. "Again, Daddy, again." He heard her first words, saw her first steps, watched her blow out candles on birthday cakes, 1 year after another, heard her sing songs and tell jokes, and ask questions about everything. "Why is the sky blue, Daddy? Why do birds fly? Why do you love Mommy? Why do you love me?" He remembered the hard times too. The nights she was sick and he stayed awake beside her bed. The times she cried and he did not know why. The fights about homework and bedtime and vegetables. The moment she told him she hated him and ran to her room, and how his heart broke even though he knew she did not mean it. He remembered every "I love you, Dad," every hug, every kiss, every bedtime story, every nightmare he chased away, every scraped knee he bandaged, every tear he wiped. 11 years of love, 11 years of being a father, all of it pouring out of him and into the machine. The Valkyrie observers gasped. Their screens showed readings that should have been impossible. Marcus's connection to Sierra was not just strong. It was stronger than any genetic resonance they had ever recorded. The machine could not measure it properly. The numbers kept climbing higher and higher. This is not possible, one scientist said. The human neural pattern is overwhelming our instruments. Vorath watched in silence. His stone face had cracked. Emotions were flooding across it. Shock, wonder, something that looked almost like tears in his silver eyes. This is what we lost, he thought. This is what we gave away. Marcus's body was failing now. His heart was beating too fast. Blood vessels in his brain were bursting. Medical alarms screamed warnings. He was dying, but the connection held. His love for Sarah was pouring into her, filling the empty spaces in her cells, fixing what was broken. The glow under her skin was changing. The flickering light was becoming steady, strong. Marcus felt himself slipping away. The pain was gone now. Everything was soft and warm and dark. He was so tired, so ready to rest. Then he heard a voice. Small and scared and so very dear. Dad? Dad, I can feel you. Don't go. Please don't go. It was Sierra. Somehow, through the machine, their minds were connected. He could feel her fear, her love, her desperate need for him. I'm here, sweetheart, he thought back to her. I'm always here. I'm scared, Dad. I know. I'm scared too. But it's okay to be scared. We can be scared together. Am I going to be okay? Marcus felt his heart slowing, his brain going quiet, his life fading away like a candle in the wind. Yes, he told her. You're going to be okay. You're going to grow up and do amazing things. You're going to be happy. I promise. But what about you? I need you, Dad. Marcus smiled, even though he was dying. Even though everything was ending. I'll always be with you, he said. In your heart. In your memories. Every time you're scared, and you keep going anyway. Every time you love someone, even though it's hard. Every time you choose to be brave. That's me. That's what I gave you. That's what fathers give their children. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything. More than everything. Forever. The darkness swallowed him whole. And Marcus Chun died. But his love did not. It flowed into Sierra like light into a dark room. It filled every cell, every atom, every tiny piece of her broken body. It healed what science could not heal. It did what the Valkyrie had forgotten was possible. It saved her. In the resonance chamber. Surrounded by shocked aliens and crying mothers and impossible readings. A little girl opened her eyes. They were still silver-flecked, but now they were also full of stars. Marcus woke up. This was impossible. He was lying in a Valkyrie medical bay, surrounded by floating machines and soft white light. His body ached everywhere, but he was breathing. His heart was beating. He was alive. Dad. Sierra crashed into him like a small hurricane. She was crying and laughing at the same time, her arms wrapped tight around his neck. Her skin was glowing, but not the sick flickering glow from before. This was warm and steady, like sunlight through a window. You're okay, Marcus whispered, holding her tight. You're okay. You saved me, Dad. The doctors said your brain should have been destroyed. They said no human could survive what you did. But you did. You came back. Lyria appeared beside the bed. Her face was wet with tears, but she was smiling. "The Volcari scientists cannot explain it," she said. "Your neural energy should have been completely drained. But something happened during the bonding. Something they have never seen before. It is like your love created a feedback loop. You gave everything to Sarah, and somehow she gave it back." Marcus looked at his daughter, at her glowing skin, at her silver and starlight eyes. "What happened to her?" he asked. "She is something new," Lyria said quietly. "Something that has never existed before. Human love encoded into Volcari genetics. The scientists say she's impossible. But here she is." Sira grinned at him. It was the same grin she had always had. The same stubborn chin. The same mischief in her eyes. "I can do cool stuff now, Dad. Watch." She held out her hand. A small ball of light appeared above her palm, dancing and spinning. Then it turned into a butterfly made of stars, and it flew around Marcus's head before disappearing. "Okay," Marcus said slowly. "That's new." Over the next few days, Marcus learned what had happened while he was unconscious. News of the resonance had spread through the entire Volcari outpost. Everyone had seen the readings. Everyone knew that a primitive human had done something their advanced species could not. A man with no genetic connection to a child had formed a bond stronger than anything in Volcari history. It changed everything. For thousands of years, the Volcari had believed they were superior. They had removed emotions from their species because they thought feelings were weakness. They had built a civilization based on logic and science and cold perfection. But now, they had seen something different. They had seen a clumsy, scared, ordinary human walk into a machine that should have killed him. They had seen him pour out his entire soul to save a child who was not even genetically his. They had seen love do what their technology could not, and it shook them to their core. Vorath was the first to change. The commander who had called Sira a defect, who had wanted to let her die, now stood at Marcus's bedside with something like shame on his stone face. "I was wrong," Vorath said. The words seemed to cost him great effort. "About the child. About you. About everything." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. "Yes," he said finally. "You were. I do not understand how you did it. How you loved a creature that was not your offspring. How you sacrificed yourself for her. These concepts are foreign to me, but I wish to learn." Vorath knelt beside the bed. It was a gesture of respect that Marcus had never seen a Volcari make. "Teach me," Vorath said. "Teach us. Show us what we have lost." Marcus did not know what to say, but Sira did. "It's not hard," she said, climbing onto her father's bed. "You just have to care about someone more than you care about yourself. You have to want their happiness more than your own. You have to be willing to hurt so they don't have to." She looked at Vorath with her strange new eyes. "My dad does it every day. He doesn't think it's special, but it is. It's the most special thing in the universe." Vorath stared at her. Then he did something that no one expected. He smiled. It was small and awkward and clearly something he had never done before. But it was real. "Perhaps," he said, "we have been studying the wrong species all along." The changes did not stop with Vorath. Other Volcari came to see Marcus and his family. They asked questions about human emotions, about family, about love. Some of them were curious. Some were confused. Some were afraid. But all of them were changing. A split formed in Volcari society. Some wanted to stay the way they had always been, cold, logical, superior. But others looked at what Marcus had done and wondered if they had made a terrible mistake thousands of years ago. If the emotions they had removed were not weaknesses to be fixed, but treasures to be cherished. The Volcari were collapsing. Not their civilization, not their technology, Something deeper. The cold, perfect shell they had built around themselves was cracking, and something warm was starting to leak through. After a week, Marcus was well enough to travel. The family returned to Earth, back to New Chicago, back to their small apartment that suddenly seemed very normal after everything they had been through. Life went on. Marcus went back to work. Sierra went back to school. Lyria stayed home and tried to remember how to be human after so many years of pretending. But things were different now. Sierra could do things that made scientists cry with confusion. Marcus had dreams about stars and neural patterns. And once a month, a Valkyrie ship would land in the park near their house, and aliens in silver robes would come to visit. To learn, to try to understand. One night years later, Sierra asked her father a question. "Dad, do you ever regret it?" "Regret what?" "The resonance. You almost died. You went through so much pain. And I wasn't even. We're not really." Marcus looked at his daughter. She was 16 now, tall and beautiful and strange. Half human, half Valkyrie, and something else entirely. Something new and wonderful. "You're about to say you're not really my daughter," he said. "Right?" Sierra nodded. Looking at the floor, Marcus put his finger under her chin and lifted her face so she was looking at him. "Listen to me," he said. "I would do it again. Tomorrow, and the day after that. And every day forever. You are my daughter. Not because of blood. Not because of genetics. Because I chose you. Because you chose me. Because we love each other. But why? Why does it matter so much to you?" Marcus smiled. "Because that's what dads do, sweetheart. We show up. We love. We never stop fighting for our kids. No matter what." Sierra hugged him. She was too old for hugs, she always said. But she hugged him anyway. Outside the window, the stars were shining. Somewhere up there, the Valkyrie were learning to feel again. Somewhere up there, the galaxy was watching humanity and wondering what else these strange little creatures could do. They were small. They were fragile. They lived such short lives, but they could love. God, how they could love. And that, it turned out, was the most powerful thing in the universe. In the end, everything collapsed. The walls between species. The belief in cold superiority. The idea that emotion was weakness. All of it fell down. And in its place, something better grew. Something human. Something wonderful. Something that started with one ordinary man who refused to let his daughter go. Because that's what fathers do.